Good evening, it's me, Rory Paddock, for picksfromthepaddock.co.uk. It is currently 9:57 p.m. I'm going to be looking ahead to Thursday's action. It's bonfire, so let's hope for some crackers, because it's time for today's tips. Hello everyone, it is indeed me, Rory Paddock, for picksfromthepaddock.co.uk, coming to you live just before 10 o'clock on Facebook, Twitter and YouTube. I thought I'd do it the night before because there was quite a bit of action this Thursday, quite a lot of talking points and quite a lot of content that Picks from the Paddock, myself and the rest of the team have put out there for you guys, obviously as always completely free. So without further ado, this video there are 4 selections that I had a look of. All of them, to be honest, are all very, very short prices, or pretty short at least. So I'd be advising putting them in doubles, trebles, multiples, so on and so forth. So without further ado, the first selection comes in the 2:15 at Sedgefield. And I apologise in advance for the fact that it's odds on. When I wrote the article earlier this afternoon, or basically made notes on this earlier this afternoon before I sent my nap. This is not my nap of the day, but before I sent my nap to the Racing Post, I expected, considering there's 2 other horses in the race that were unbeaten, that won their debuts, that Gordon Elliott's Charge, Glorious Zoff, would not be as short as it is at 3-1 on. But it is, and it is what it is, but I'd rather tell you what the horse is and hope that it just adds to a little bit, even if it's just a small amount, to your kitty. And hopefully if you can get it in a double or a treble with something else, then that'll add up a little bit. But obviously Glorious Zoff, 3-1 on, should do what it says on the tin. I am shocked by how short it is, but then again, it is Gordon Elliott sending just one horse all the way over from Ireland to Sedgefield, and that alone has got to make you sort of like wake up and sort of wonder why on earth that is. Obviously, Ireland does have a fair amount of racing, but the Elliott team have chosen to send it all the way over here, not only for a small race, but also a midweek race at a relatively small course as well. That ticks a lot of boxes. The horse is obviously unbeaten in one run, is primed to do well, decent jockey on board. Yes, of course, you've got the likes of Geneva Dragon and Gold Desert, both course and distance winners on their debut. They do deserve respect, but you've got to obviously notice when connections of that ilk, that such of a powerhouse yard, send one over just for this race, it's hard to look anywhere else really. So Glorious Zoff should remain unbeaten, add to Gordon Elliott's current crop of promising youngsters, and should do what it's set out to do, what it's come over here. It's not come over here for a holiday, and it should go back with a win. That's my first selection. All the rest, coincidentally, are back in Gordon Elliott's native island at Thurles. And my second selection comes, if I can bring that up here, it comes just 7 minutes later in the 2:22 at Thurles, or Thurles. Apologies for my butchering of that. But yeah, as you can see the race there. It is the 2:22. You've got current favourite Karen's Gift, who hails from the yard of Barry Connell, who looks a very decent horse, second last time out, won the time before that, very lightly raced, has done little wrong, but I'm actually going to go against it. Now, similar to how I sided with Gordon Elliott's horse over in Sedgefield, a powerhouse yard, just the one runner on the card, so on and so forth. The same can be said here. Noel Meade, obviously, has been around the game plenty, is one of the more sort of well-known and more powerful sort of trainers in Ireland in this sphere, and again just sends the one horse out today, out on Thursday, and it goes by the name of Dinard Rose. Has been a bit lacklustre, I'll be honest, in recent times until its last run, and she seemed to produce a much better effort to finish third. The form of that third looks relatively decent, doesn't look a bad run at all. Noel Meade is actually in really good form. He's bagged 6 winners from his yard in the last so many, I think it's 11, 12 days. The fact he's then just the one out, I'm hoping is indicative as to how promising he expects this horse to go. You can get around 11-2 at the moment. It's currently 5-1 there with Paddy's, I think. Is it Paddy Power that I've got up? Yeah, Paddy Power is currently 5s, but I know that other bookmakers are paying 11-2. And I think if you're looking just to back one horse on its own, I think if you're looking for an each-way play to make very small profit for a place, I think you couldn't go far wrong. I think it does finish in the money. And I'm hoping, as my nap of the day, that it's the horse that gets its head in front. That's Dinard Rose in the 222 at Thurles. We then skip on over to the next race on the card, which is the 257. And, you know, it's a very, very open race. As you can see from the betting there on the right-hand side, you've got 2-1 on the field, but then you've got 5-2, 9-2, 5-1, 6-1, 8-1. You know, considering there's only, I think, 14 runners, the first sort of 5 or 6 in the betting aren't overly stretched. Flash to Zane looks a decent horse, but it's not the one I would fear the most for my selection. Max Flamingo actually is. Returned to action, so has a recent run under the belt. Hasn't been as heavily campaigned as the current favourite. And Francis Casey, you know, knows what to do with horses. You know, more than capable, although not one of the bigger yards. Certainly more than capable, and Max Flamingo seems to be a horse going places. However, that being said, it is the current third favourite at 9-2. Bold Assassin that gets the nod. Rachel Blackmore is obviously a very, very, very talented jockey, and some people's idea of being this up-and-coming season's Irish champion jockey. And, you know, I can see why. She's absolute mustard in the saddle. She only has 2 rides at Thurles. This is her more fancied one. Henry de Bromhead, obviously a very big yard. Respected. Owned by Gigginstown again. They don't buy anything that's that poor. And Bold Assassin, yeah, alright, fair enough. It's not been seen for, 296 days? But if it's fit, based on that run at Fairy House in which it finished 3rd, the form of that doesn't look too bad at all. It looks to have a little, you know, it doesn't seem to be top class, but it seems to have a decent amount of quality. And for that alone, he could be potentially better than some of these. So it's Bold Assassin for Rachel Blackmore and Henry de Bromhead in the 257. And we end proceedings in the 332, the final race of the day, at the Irish track. It's a 7-race card, race number 7. And again, I know it's boring. We end sort of the selections with another odds-on shot, trained by Gordon Elliott. But if you know anything about jumps racing, you'll know that in Ireland, in the National Hunt Flat Sphere, if you see the names Cod and Elliott next to one another, then more often than not, you'll see them next to the name of the winning horse. Glen Glass won their sole point to point and can, let's be honest, can bag another victory now that they're under rules. Salt Wind obviously finished 2nd last time, but the rest look much of a muchness. It doesn't seem to be a strong field. Obviously a powerhouse in the duo of Cod and Elliott. You know, Glen Glass, done nothing wrong. Can round off the day. Those are my 4. Perhaps they're a little bit boring selections-wise because some of the prices are a bit short. But I'd rather give you horses that I think will win than give you something way, way, way too speculative that you're left scratching your head going, how on earth he picked these out? So I'm hoping that at least a couple of those will come in and sort of seal a bit of profit for us. Away from those 4 selections, though, we do have an absolute ton of stuff on our website at the moment and on our social media on Facebook and Twitter. Basically for you guys to look at, we've got, and you'll see all the links under this video if you're watching it on Facebook, that is. I pick out a couple of bigger prices on the all-weather. We've then got fellow PFTP pundit Steve Marriott. He's written an absolute ton for the website, so shout out to Steve. He's currently riding high near the top of the Racing Post Naps table as well, so you really want to make sure you check out what he's written. I know that he's gone through the card at it is at Newbury tomorrow. Newbury, he's got 3 that he likes at Newbury. He also pinpoints a 2-year-old that runs on the all-weather as well. And I think he goes for 1 at Sedgefield. You've also got pundit Dean Kilbride, who puts up his stat attacks for Thursday as well. Some really interesting figures that may hopefully unearth a few winners. And Matt Polly, another fellow PFTP pundit, puts out his lay of the day. He finds a well-fancied favourite that he thinks could potentially be turned over. Make sure you check all of those out. They'll either be in the links under this video or visit pictureonthepaddock.co.uk. Make sure you don't miss out a winner. Thanks for all your support. But as always, good luck if you follow.